Okay, this guy that is fat and bald before you is going to tell you one of the great secrets of the universe. And I'll make it really simple, because if there's one benefit to being abnormally intelligent and off the scale, I actually scored off the scale on nonlinear thinking, is that if you are of that nature and you're a savant and understanding things, and you spend most of your life alone studying obtuse field theory a la Tesla, Faraday, Steinmetz, Heaviside, you're able to condensate certain facts, and simplicity is divinity. Here's an irrefutable fact. Right now, as we live, every age of science has always thought that their crap, i.e. their answers, were correct. And every time, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years down the road, they're always proven wrong. And right now is absolutely no different. Currently, you'll find no explanations for magnetism other than mine on Earth. Nor will you find any explanation of the denotation, not the description or the existential quantifications of field intensity, but you'll find no single explanation on this Earth for what a field is and for what magnetism is denotatively. I'm going to make it really simple for you, because I don't care what you believe, your religious belief systems, metaphysics, and I don't mean metaphysics in the occult sense, but true like Platonic metaphysics. It doesn't matter what your belief system is. I mean, I'll just say Mother Nature for the pure sake of saying something. And this is going to sound really crass, but you need to think about it, okay? Mother Nature is not an insane crack whore, okay? As is the nature of the universe, simplicity is divinity, and Occam razor applies more specifically in greater specificity in application to field theory and its irreducible consequence of what it is in definition than anything else that you could possibly imagine. Now, we currently hold the belief that we have four different things in the universe. We have dielectricity, electrostatics, electricity, magnetism, and gravity. And absolutely nothing could be further than the truth. I mean, it is as obtuse as thinking that water is one thing and steam is another thing and ice is another thing, and we're trying to find some unifying factor behind that. And of course the unifying factor is the hydrous oxide molecule. But the denotation, I could write a 1,000-page book tonight if I actually had infinite energy. I mean, I have it all up inside my head, and countless hundreds of pages of notes. I'm working on the 4th edition on uncovering mystic secrets of magnetism. But the only thing that denotates what a field is inertia. Okay, there's only two principles in the universe: force and motion, and inertia and acceleration. Of course, inertia and acceleration come first. A field is nothing other than a release of inertia. It is a ether perturbation. And people say, well, what is ether? I don't care what you call ether. Quantum mechanics is now realizing just as the fact that they call 70% of the universe dark matter, which is completely meaningless. Well, what does it mean? I don't know. We don't know what it is. That's why we call it dark matter. We know it comprises 70-80% more of the universe. But well, actually, the ancient Greek Platonists figured this out a long time ago, and I found it. The secret hidden in Plato's Republic 509d to 511. Of course, it doesn't originally belong to Plato. It belonged to the Pythagoreans and goodness knows before them, but they actually figured out the subdivision of the nature of the universe as so far as the cosmos, the ethos, and the cosmos nuitos, the visible universe, and the substrate to phenomena. This is phenomena. What underlies the substrate? And that which underlies the substrate, obviously, is fields, and fields are not particles. Instantaneous action at a distance is irrefutable. Particles do not mediate out field perturbations, nor field modalities. What do I mean by field modality? Dielectricity, electricity, magnetism, and gravity are all one thing, just as water, steam, and ice are all one thing irreducibly. So they're all hydrous oxide modalities, i.e. water. Getting back to Mother Nature, for lack of a better term, I don't care what you believe, it's completely irrelevant. I'm a hardcore Platonist, and the irreducible fact is that, as I've stated, Mother Nature is not a crack whore. There are only two principles in the universe: inertia and acceleration, and force and motion. Magnetism is necessitatively the force and motion, okay? Gravity, of course, is not a force, it is an acceleration. That which you call electrostatics, a balloon, snagging onto someone's hair, dust flying to the front of a cathode ray tube when you turn it on. Of course, we don't use CRT tubes anymore, really. we use LCD panels, but those are electrostatic acceleration. The only thing that gravity is incoherent electrostatic, i.e. dielectric acceleration. There is no such thing as an autonomous force known as gravity. Here's a little experiment that nobody else on Earth has tried but me, and I can prove it to you. Well, it's not going to prove anything to you if you have a pathetically closed mind, but this is a little neodymium iron boron disk magnet. If you have a gigantic, a large, like 40-inch CRT tube, and you can hook a camcorder up to it, film a black wall with a white spot. That way, the CRT tube will project a white spot, i.e. a high concentration, a high pulse concentration, of a longitudinal dielectric pulse at the front of the CRT tube. You can take this neodymium iron boron magnet carefully and position on the end of a finger and drop it down in front of the black CRT tube with a gigantic white spot in the center. Okay, you're filming a white spot in a black wall, and as soon as you hit that white spot, you'll actually notice that the magnet will actually vibrate and it'll actually feel like it's levitating off of your finger. That is the change in EM retardation. What we think of GPS satellites, how we have to correct for speed variables and space. There's no such thing as warp space. Space is nothing. It is literally the absence of inertia. Einstein had it all wrong. Tesla said this. Oliver Heaviside, space is nothing. Space is absence. And absence, of course, does nothing. It's like saying, well, darkness does something. No, darkness is the absence of light. Space is literally the absence of inertia. There's no such thing as warp space. Nor is a field ever terminated in space. Let me check the time on something really quick. Space can do nothing, and space acts on nothing. And obviously no field has ever terminated in space. So what does that mean? What does it mean that no field is ever terminated in space? It means space is not a terminal. It is not a point of discharge. The irreducible simplicity of field theory, while extremely complex, is simplex, but that which is simplex is not simple. And it is an irreducible fact that everything that exists, even in most simplex nature, is always possessed of one attribute. So explaining things to people and making them simple is really impossible, but they are irreducibly simplex. Getting back to the nature of field theory, if there's one thing I can prove to you, and I will stake my life on, and I will stick my head right on the chopping block, is one thing, and I don't give a damn if you believe me or not, because I'm not getting paid a nickel for you to give a damn or believe me. But here's one thing that humanity will find out if it lives long enough. Okay? Unification of field theory of dielectricity, magnetism, electricity, and gravity is extremely simplex. We have only inertia and the loss of inertia. That which we call gravity is nothing other than incoherent dielectric acceleration. Just there's no such thing as magnetic attraction or repulsion. Okay, why do two equal poles repel each other? Well, that's not repulsion. That is counter-avoidance. Why do two inverse poles of a magnet, and of course a magnet doesn't have poles, but that's a matter for another discussion. Why do they greatly accelerate towards you? A magnet is nothing other than an attributional change. I mean, what happens to this magnet, this neodymium iron boron ceramic disc, before it is magnetized? It just sits there. It's not attracted to anything. The only thing that changes is the alignment of what we incorrectly call domains, but we're talking about coherent field perturbation, that we have aligned domains in the Lamour frequencies of precession. A magnet is, definitionally, as I discovered, a reciprocating precessional hyperboloid that expresses itself out in a hypertoroidal fashion. Okay, it sounds very complex, but it is extremely, extremely simple. If you could actually picture it in your head, I mean, you would feel like the light of a thousand suns are in your eyeballs, except it would be in your brain. It is just divinely simplex, and I'm not talking about religion or anything regarding metaphysics. I'm talking about pure logic, how the nature of fields work. But the point is that the one thing I will put my head on the chopping block for is that I'm not 100% certain, I'm 1,000% certain that if humanity lives long enough, we'll find out, what I've discovered. And I have equations for several things, and I've got the 4th edition coming out, and I've got hundreds of more pages to add. Humanity will discover that the nature of field modalities is as inexpressibly simple as talking about water, versus steam versus ice. I mean, you know, it is irreducibly simple beyond belief. Irreducibly simple. Before I shut off this video, I want you to consider one thing. At the center of everything that we consider to be most simplex, i.e. gravity or magnetism, you should make note, and nobody will ever talk about, because it's too simple, and people just don't have minds, you know, complex enough to contemplate the simplex principles, that at the center of gravity there is no gravity, and at the center of magnetism, i.e. the dielectric inertial plane, there is no magnetism. If you're able to put yourself into an impenetrable bubble and go to the center of the sun or the center of the earth, you will find that at the center of gravitation, acceleration, which is not a force by the way, acceleration is decreasing motion. That's a matter for another discussion. People are like, what? Increasing acceleration is decreasing motion? Yes, it is. If you can't figure that out, I'll have to discuss it for you later. At the center of gravity, there is no gravity. At the center of a magnet, i.e. along the dielectric inertial plane, if you're able to put yourself there, which of course you can't, there is no magnetism. There is no Gaussian flux that is registrable. And if you think about that and the implications of that and what that means, a la counter space, i.e. non-Euclidean geometry, because a point means nothing. A point is geometrical, okay? The 5 Platonic solids are all phenomena. We're interested in noumena. So now what you need to do is ask yourself why it is the case the center of an incredibly powerful gravitational force you will find no gravity, and at the very center of a magnet you will find absolutely no Gaussian flux, i.e. registrable magnetism. If you don't have the brain to contemplate this, that's perfectly fine. I'm not interested in whether you believe me or not. I'm only interested in putting out information. Okay? Lux y veritas, and I'll catch you later. Bye.